Welcome back to Technique Over Strength, a jiu-jitsu podcast and resource for practitioners. My name is Professor Josh Garcia. With me I have
Professor Renny Gonzalez.
Oh, Michael Hipskin.
And Freddie Pedrique.
You can tell we've done this before, guys. Right? All right, guys, so this is going to be episode 2 of the podcast. We're going to be discussing our drills. If you don't know what this podcast is about, because you haven't watched or listened to episode 1, what we do is we like to record some drills or some techniques that we're going over in our training or at the school, and then we put them online. We like to break them down for you guys, talk about it, discuss why we are using them or why we're drilling it. And
if you haven't watched, if you haven't heard episode 1, you should go back and listen to episode 1.
That's true. So episode 1, we did our butterfly guard drills.
Correct.
And in episode 2, we're moving on. We're not really doing bottom anymore. This week we've been working on, actually for the last 2 weeks, we've been working on the long step grips passing. Right, Professor?
Correct. We're working on some more guard passing, different styles and different variations.
Yeah. So, for me, I first saw this type of guard passing, like with the long step grips. I first saw like the Mendes brothers using it, but I had seen it before. Like I had seen it, in competition and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys know what we're talking about here, right?
Yeah.
Like our long step grips,
Yeah.
where it's like the reverse grips. Like normally you'd have like a collar grip and then like the pant grip on the inside, but the long step grips is basically like the reverse of it. So you have like the collar grip on the inside. And it's like, first I started like playing around with it because I figured like I would see that it was good for playing against guys who had really good like spider guard and lasso guard and stuff like that. It would be really easy to control that bottom leg. But then like I couldn't get offensive with it. I couldn't pass. And then I started studying a little bit of the Mendes brothers stuff, and then they really broke it down. Like I got some really good details from them. So shout out to the Mendes brothers.
AOJ online system.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, when it comes to those grips, the long step grips, the reverse grips, it helps to neutralize like spiders and lassos because you're grabbing onto the pants. So if the person tries to weave a leg under, as long as you keep your elbows in tight, he won't be able to get into that game. So jiu-jitsu is all about taking people into your game, into wherever your strong point is. So if you can neutralize the spiders and the lassos from the beginning, then you're a step ahead.
Mike and Freddie, were you guys able to drill any of those? Like, did you come to the advanced class?
Yeah,
I know you did.
Made it to a few, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Have you been able to use it in training at all? Like
I actually like those grips a lot. I think you introduced me, I don't know, a few months back, and I've been trying to use it a lot. I like smashing with my chest a lot too, so it helps like throw that game down either or before. If you're playing a leg drag game, just keep that grip and.
Yeah, that's true. I've seen you playing leg drag too a lot lately.
Yeah,
nice.
I've been trying to implement that.
Yeah, it's dope. Nice.
It's just been a very kind of like a popular style of guard passing in the past few years. Leg dragging and stuff. So.
Yeah, no, it ties in well. It goes, once you get those grips and you see how versatile they are, and you get kind of like comfortable with playing with them, you can see that it's really easy to switch side to side. You can go from right to left, and there's a pass from either side. So it's a really versatile gripping combination. What about you, Freddie?
I like it, man. I haven't used it lately, but I like it. I like that you can switch. Like you said, it's versatile. You can switch from, one side to the other fairly easy, not locking yourself up really. With passing, I feel like that's what you need to do. You need to just like link them up together.
You're not even trying to pass, man. That's what it is. You're just playing worm guard, bro.
It's confirmed, guys. I'm a worm guard player.
It's just doing this worm guard, berimbolo stuff. You're not thinking about passing most of the time.
I'm working on it, I promise.
Why pass when you could just pull guard and sweep, right?
Or leg lock.
Or leg lock, yeah. That's a theory.
Blasphemy. Anyways, guys.
You gotta learn how to pass a guard.
So the first drill in the series this week is the knee cut. This is probably going to be the most utilized a technique from this position or from these grips, it's really easy to see where it can be beneficial when people start sort of like pinching in and doing like that really tight pinch in the knees when you get into the combat base position, when you're trying to like do your regular knee cut. You use that like reverse long step grips, and you basically like stiff arm that top leg out of the way, and then you can like lower your shoulder and really dive and get your underhook. So it's a really unorthodox way of clearing the leg, I think. And most people don't really expect you to like stiff arm that leg out of the way from there. They don't feel like you can do it.
It's a really strong pant control. So if you can manage to get that grip, and then you manage to actually do like the tricep extension and extend your arm out, then you're in big trouble, because now your guard is being split open, and your retention rate's it's gonna drop.
And for the guys who do a lot no-gi, is there any setups for that? Can you do the same pass without having to grip the pants?
For no-gi, it doesn't translate because...
Well, the knee cut does.
Yeah.
The actual knee cut, well, obviously, but...
Well, the initial position, like getting into the position and like putting your hand on the hip and the other one like on the other leg is similar, right? You're always going to be trying to block the hips and always trying to pin. But since there's nothing to grip, it isn't the same. I would say that maybe... you can replace that collar grip with a tie on the back of the head, and then the pants. Instead of holding the pants, I would probably put my hand like right on the hip, so it'd be like this,
Oh, gosh.
So it looks kind of weird, but it's actually a really good control position. I play like that. It's funny because now that you asked me, I never thought about it, but I do kind of play a no-gi form of that right now, where I hold on to the head and pull it
with your opposite hand, and the other hand is on the hip.
Yeah, and then you just play like that, and then you can knee cut from there, or they'll start reacting, and then you can get your underhook and start knee sliding.
Cool.
So yeah, there isn't like a direct translation to the grips, but there's a similar variation in no-gi. I'll show you.
Cool.
I'll show you. And then that leads to the second drill, which is the long step. So the technique or the position, the grips is named after, it's called long step grips, right? And then we're actually doing the long step, which is the second drill. I know that my training partners have had to deal with my long step for a long time.
For a few years now.
It's one of my favorite passes. It looks pretty. When you do it on people, or when people are watching, everybody usually goes, oh, So you get really good at that pass, and then you make people look bad, impress your training partners, and,
Yeah, I mean, the long step itself, when done properly, it's a very, very, it's a switch. You're trying to say knee cut, that's not working out. Now you're going to switch the angle, you're going to step back and, do your long step or your back step and, get past the guard. Most of the times when we show this drill, we try to, step back, long step back as far as we can, maybe even into like the north-south. Obviously not as far as north-south, but, once you manage to get your legs out, even if you have a little trouble finishing the move, at least you're past the half guard and the guard. And there's some debates on long step grips, whether you keep the collar or whether in no-gi, for example, you could just grab behind the shoulder and then back step. So if I'm grabbing my left hand behind the shoulder and then back step with my right leg.
I've also seen backstepping where you bring your arm across the body, Marcelo style. Marcelo used to do that a lot, where he'd bring his entire arm and just block the body creating an underhook with the opposite arm.
That's a really good variation for no-gi. The only pointer with that one that I would say that like Marcelo shows a lot is that you have to bring your upper body, make sure that you're controlling the chest area of your opponent as opposed to like their stomach, to where they can frame with their elbows and kind of replace or take your back.
Yeah.
So I mean, with that one, the one we did today was with the gi. So we're using the gi grips. It's a little bit more control. In the no-gi variation, and specifically that one, you just got to make sure that you don't expose your back too much and give up your back, because then now you're gonna look bad if they take your back.
And just to clarify, guys, it's important to have in your mind a trigger that sets off these techniques. So for example, the first drill is the knee cut, and that knee cut, the trigger for that should be when the guy starts really pinching down on your legs with his legs. So it's like the knee shield position, and he's just clamping down, not allowing you to easily knee cut. So that's what's gonna trigger me to stiff arm the leg back. And then in the long step, they sort of like leave their legs open, and then it's a little different. So he's not pinching down on my leg, he's opening up his leg, and now I'm gonna utilize that reaction that he's giving me. That's gonna trigger me to go for my long step. So it's not just doing the techniques whenever you feel like it. You gotta develop, excuse me, you have to develop that sensitivity to realize when is the right time to do the techniques, right? Does that make sense?
Perfect sense. Yeah, I mean, with all these moves, and guys, make sure you check out, online and our social media for the actual videos, so that way you can see the details, instructions and stuff. Our goal is to run this podcast and kind of describe the moves, but we really want to go over it with the actual video, so that way there's some instructions that we're actually learning here too.
And if they're watching on the video, they should be seeing some clips right now as we speak through movie magic.
Movie magic. But all these type of drills,
pictures.
Yeah, all these type of drills just work together very well, and then in guard passing, like if you see guys like Galvao and guys that are very good guard passers, you learn that no one guard pass is going to work every single time.
Sure.
So we have to learn how to combine all these different drills and stuff.
Any of you guys use long step passing at all? Mike, Fred?
Try.
I shouldn't even ask Fred. I don't even know why I asked Fred. Passing.
Guys, I do pass, I promise.
I try.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
I know you're all about the leg drag these days, man.
Don't
even try to
like it.
play with me,
But I do like that long step. I do find myself sometimes giving up my back. I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we should go over. I'll go over some of the details and we'll fix it
absolutely.
up.
I think that knee cut to long pass is a really good combo to kind of play with back to back. So if you're trying your knee cut's not working, then you try a long pass. And then sometimes say you try the long pass and it fails, and then usually the attempt of the long pass will make a little extra little space that you can use now to go back and knee cut. So again, that's why it's important to kind of not just single, just only do one move when it comes to the drills. It's to combine them. Try your knee cut, then try your long step. That doesn't work, go back to knee cut, and then if that doesn't work, then we can get into the third one, which is the shin cut, and things like that.
Nice, very very nice. Yeah, always combo passing, right? Most of the time, your initial pass is never gonna work. That first pass is never. You need, at least for me, I would say at the brown and black belt level, you got to have minimum 5 to 6
passing options,
counters. You got to have
triggers
in a row, 5 or 6 in a row. Maybe at blue or purple, you might get away with 2 or 3. You might be able to go 1, 2, 3. But once you start getting at the higher levels, you got to, you really got to start comboing it up. So that shin cut is really nice. For me, the shin cut is the thing that triggers it for me, which is sorry guys, the shin cut is the third drill. So the thing that triggers it for me is when the bottom guy is pushing away, framing really hard, and then they've got the legs open, trying to play maybe some kind of open guard game, pull me into a leg lasso or something. It's really common. He's trying to get his leg free. He's pushing away, making sure that I don't start knee cutting, which is a good reaction. So what you do is you do shin cut to the outside, so you swivel your knee and free it, and then it's really good idea to when you swivel that leg out, you want to sort of get your legs far away to make the guy reach and turn towards you, and then with that long step grip that you have on the pant, you're gonna really slam down the leg, and then that's gonna give you momentary, maybe 2 to 3, not 2 to 3, but 2 to 3 milliseconds, I would say, to jump over to the other side. And it's just really just confusing the guy, making the guy think that you're trying to pass to that side, and then dragging his legs down and jumping over using that. That element of surprise, which is what we were talking about, sort of you're baiting the guy to one side and then just jumping over to the other side, and that's how you combo passing. That's most of the time that's how you get the easiest passes, in my opinion, is baiting one thing and really you're going for the other, for the next thing.
Yeah, I think with these drills, what you guys are going to notice is a very important point is making sure we have the grips correctly, especially with that shin cut when you're going to jump over. It's very important that you have that pant grip, so that way when the person tries to, utilize their guard to open their guard, you manage to smash it down, and then by a surprise attack, switch over directions and then pass to the other side. Again, same thing. Combos, just like in striking or, boxing, MMA, you can't just like shoot a double leg, to an opponent that knows what's going on. At first, maybe like at white, blue belt level when you're first starting out, you originally, learn, hey, close guard, opening the guard, you learn one pass, and that will work against an opponent that is not skilled or, hasn't been training. But with someone that has been training as long as you have, or, same time as you, they're probably going to have some reactions to that. So that's where the combinations come in. Very, very important. Make sure that you pay attention to the details of the grips, and make sure you pay attention to the direction where you're guiding the body. We have one of our training partners, Lazaro, always brings a good point when he teaches his students, saying, push the guard away, or make sure you close the guard in the opposite direction you're trying to pass. So if I'm grabbing your legs and smashing them down and your guard's pointing to the right side and I'm passing to, the opposite, now you're a step behind again. And that's this whole game. It's a chess game where we want to be a step ahead of our opponents.
Yeah, nice. Very nice. Cool. So, and just to sort of just sum it up, guys, these drills, you want to learn them one by one, but then you kind of want to put yourself in situational positions. What we like to do is maybe set a 3 or 5 minute timer, and then you have your opponent give you very light reactions, nothing too crazy, nothing too hard, resists maybe like 20-30%, and
that's
then,
too much for me.
You think so?
My 20% is too much. I mean, yeah. You gotta go like 10%. You gotta go 10% for that one.
So have your opponent resist a little bit. When you get comfortable with it, then you can have Professor Rennie's 20%. But first start with really light resistance and have them resist one and then go to the next pass, so you can start learning how to chain these, because all of these really chain together. And we could post videos about them all day, but it'd be like a couple hours of video, because you could literally put these passes together in sort of really an unlimited number of ways. It's just up to your imagination how you want to use them. So with that said, guys, that's going to end the drill section. We're going to move on to our BJJ news.
And before we move on, especially now that we're going to be, with the social media and stuff, if you guys have any questions on the actual moves, feel free to go on the social media and post your questions, or, if you have any hey, what if the guy defends this way? We'll try to get onto it, and then that way we can get a little bit more details and stuff. And, this is how everybody gets better, by...
What's our social media?
Techniqueoverstrength@gmail.com.
What about Instagram?
Technique over strength.
Technique over strength. And then also Facebook coming soon, Technique over strength. And then our website, Technique over strength, which is in the process as well.
All right, look for that soon, guys. All right.
That's the whole main thing we got to remember here. Technique over strength.
Cool. So let's get into some BJJ news. We got our resident BJJ news savant. I'm just kidding.
From BJJ World.
Yeah.
BJJ World.
A little up to date. Yeah, man, a lot of big stuff happening. Obviously, the big one, the European Championships. What is it, next weekend? This week coming up? It's like the 16th to the 15th that it starts.
Yeah, next weekend. That's a huge tournament. Europe has got really big jiu-jitsu. There's, it's crazy how massive jiu-jitsu has blown up in Europe now. Yeah, so it's should be a really good tournament.
A lot of big guys signed up. The main European guy, Wardinsky, man.
Wardinsky, yeah, I've heard of him. He's the guy that beat. I saw a match of his with a really high. I think it was Matheson. Espen Matheson.
When Worlds?
I saw a couple months ago, and it was I think it was at Europeans. I think it might have been last year's, because Espen was a brown belt. I think he's a black belt now. Okay. And to me, this guy Espen Matheson, if you guys are into jiu-jitsu and know who this kid is, actually I'm looking at a picture of him right now. I think it was a match with him, and he beat him, and I was like, damn. But I think it was absolute, because if I'm not mistaken, he's bigger he's bigger than Espen, heavier.
He's in the heavy division.
Yeah.
At least this time around.
Yeah. No, I think he always fights. Is it heavy or he usually fights super heavy?
I know he's heavy this time. He's fighting in his division. He has, I mean, Keenan Cornelius, Jackson Souza, Nicholas Pencer.
Wow. So a lot of U.S. guys are going to Europeans more than...
Big time.
But it didn't used to be like that, because I remember last year there weren't that many U.S. guys. And I think Keenan hasn't done Europeans in a couple years.
I know Gianni's going.
Yeah.
Edwin Namji's going.
Yeah, last year,
Leandro Lowe, Lucas Barbosa.
I think when Kevin went out there, Kevin and Brian.
Both of them are going this time.
Yeah, they're both going, and then that's who Kevin went against Najmi, and I mean, what it is that it's such a big tournament now that like it's attracting people from all over now, not just Europe. Wardzinski. I don't know if I'm saying it right. There you go. Like he's one of the up and coming Polish black belts. Poland's got some crazy jiu-jitsu, man. It's like a lot of those guys train like, 8 to 10 hours a day, and when you're putting all that time into the mats, like you're gonna get better, and then like a lot of these guys are now, with the Europeans being such a big tournament, now they have a stage for them to shine, and like now the whole world is getting to see what their jiu-jitsu is all about. Especially because people think like, oh, you have to be in Brazil or you have to be in California, you have to be in the big states. Nah, not anymore. I think with like technology and like videos online and things like that, and like proper guidance, you can improve, and you're gonna see guys like Adam coming out of Poland and other places in Europe. They're gonna be savages in the next few years. So
jiu-jitsu is growing.
Of course, yeah.
It's worldwide. It's not a small sport anymore.
Not anymore, yeah.
So you can only imagine that as it starts to grow in popularity, we're gonna start to see superstars coming out of everywhere.
And the crazy thing too is that a lot of times like the guys that are winning black belt are not like the guys like the old school guys or the guys that have been training for a long time. Sometimes you get guys that are 5, 6 years, 7 years, and maybe because they've just put a lot of time on the mats, but they you see them going out there and winning the divisions and performing well. So that goes into the whole theory of like you don't have to be the best in every single aspect, but if you're the best at implementing your game, then you can go a long way.
It's so easy to get technology now too, man. Like you see videos. It's so different from back then. You would only learn things from like a certain amount of people. Now you can go on YouTube and watch something from somebody in Europe, or if you're in Europe, watch the Mendes brothers, and you can sign up to the online thing. It's crazy how fast or how you can learn different techniques.
I remember in the 90s, like the Cesar Gracie like videos.
Oh.
Where like he's showing like this is close guard and like teaching you how to just like open the guard and stuff. And then like you got a video like that and you would try to study it because that's what you had. Now like YouTube, obviously like with the internet you got to be careful who you study or what you study, but because we have the internet, you can go on YouTube, find a guy, and then like find out if he's a legitimate brown or black belt or whatever rank he is, and study him and pick up things from his game.
Yeah. And it's not like jiu-jitsu you need a ton of equipment, just a few mats or a soft place to land.
And I've seen some videos on Instagram of some kids in the dirt, like
dirt. Yeah, man, doesn't matter. So
judo. Imagine doing judo on like
get a
dirt,
jacket
and you get taken down.
Go to town. It doesn't take much.
That's the beauty of it.
What other events we got coming up? I mean, the Europeans is a big tournament, which it's exciting because there's a few days of competition and there's going to be a lot of great matches and a lot of great clips to study and learn from. But
real quick, you see, I told you, Keenan hasn't been to Europeans since he was a brown belt. So this is his first.
So this tournament's kind of blowing up.
Well, it says back in Portugal, so maybe.
No, that's what they do, the Europeans in Portugal.
Yeah, Erberth is back. You saw Erberth dyed his beard.
Blonde or whatever.
Did you see that?
He looks hilarious, bro.
Crazy, man. He's so crazy.
That was weird.
Dude. He's scary, man.
He's a scary. He's young. I thought he looks like he's like 45. The dude's like 23, bro.
Yeah. He's really young.
He's young, man.
He's terrifying.
He's he's scary, man. His aggression. Like he has like he definitely trains or rolls with like this aggression. You can see it,
when I see him competing, I wonder to myself how he trains.
Yeah.
His training partners must hate him.
Right, he's just too
He's
aggressive.
really aggressive.
He's just one of those guys who's and he doesn't stop moving, man. He doesn't stop moving.
And when he does a movement, to put it lightly, he doesn't care if it may hurt you. You know, I'm not saying that in a good or bad way. Whatever it is, what it is. But he doesn't care if it might maim you.
What's your take on that, though? So, like, we're getting ready for a competition. You know, you have the Europeans at the beginning of the year. Is, you know, the first competition to start off the year. What's your training going to be like coming up towards that? You know, you're obviously going to have to build up your intensity, and you know, your training partners have to know that, hey, you know, this guy's getting ready for competition.
Yeah, but you never want to hurt your training partners.
Of course, but I think, you know, like there's that unwritten rule in jiu-jitsu that like when you're training with your training partners in your gym, you know, you take care of them. But now when we go in competition, it's kind of competition mode, you know, like you
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, we always turn it up a little bit when we train for competition. Everybody knows that. We go hard, we turn up the intensity, and that's okay. But there's a certain line.
Now, do you think we should be, say for example, you think if you're going to be competing there, you should be training hard the last few weeks coming up every single day, really hard sparring sessions, or more drilling, more technique, and then, you know, maybe 2-3 times harder sparring sessions?
That's up for debate, you know. Some people say that you can train, you know, up to the day before, and some people will tell you not to train the last week. So I think that there's different schools of thought when it comes to preparing for tournaments. I like to train hard because you always want to simulate a tournament, but you got to give yourself. And I've seen I've seen this sort of philosophy from other jiu-jitsu guys who know more about jiu-jitsu than me, because I don't pretend to know everything or, you know, even scratch the surface. But they're like, you have to have really intense days, and then you have to have light load days, and you've got to like fluctuate it. It can't just be the entire week going balls to the wall.
It's tough, man. It's tough to do that. When I train twice a day, I pick one session to be not passive, but like more relaxed with my game, and then I choose a session that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna literally go balls to the wall right now. And you have to be that way. If not, you're not gonna. I think this game you gotta last. Because if you train like that, you're not gonna last.
Well, maybe guys like Herbert can train like that. I think some guys who have really beat their body into shape, that can train like that, you know. And who knows what else is going on behind the scenes, but you know. I think it can be done, right? You can train hard every day, 2 or 3 times a day, but you need to really be on your diet, and everything's got to be, and your testosterone's got to be through the roof. I mean, like I don't mean
it's a thing, you know.
I don't mean that like
supplementation.
I don't mean pharmaceutically, but I mean like you've got to be like a young 20-something year old. Your testosterone's got to be crazy, or you've got to be just one of those freaks who just has like really high testosterone. You know what I mean?
That's a big thing with Habib Nurmagomedov in the UFC, where he says he's always injured, but it's because he trains so hard, and he doesn't have this like second switch. He just trains hard. He trains hard all the way up to his fight. He doesn't do. I've heard a lot of people who were like, before your competition or whatever, you should drill because you're not gonna. You don't have to go hard because you're not gonna lose what you already know. You should just like fix the little details in your game that you need to fix. But then there's other people who don't. There's other people who are like they train hard all the way through. You know, it's just like different ways of doing it. I guess you got to find out what works for you.
I think it's a good question to like ask. You know, what do you think of? How long should you take before a tournament? Should you take a week off? Should you take 1 or 2 days off? I think that's a good general question for jiu-jitsu practitioners and actually that compete.
Yeah, guys, let us know. You know, hit us up on through email or Instagram
or the Facebook.
Personally, man, I don't think I could stop. I don't think I could take like a week off before a competition. I just need to be here, even if I'm not training hard. If I can just turn the switch down, there's no way I could just like. Even 2 or 3 days. There's people who do that. They're like, I'm not gonna train for 3 days before a competition. I'm like, no way, dude. I need to be there. I need to sweat.
Yeah, I think even drilling. I mean, like if you do some drilling to where you're not really, using so much energy, and then what if you got to cut weight? What if you're a few pounds overweight and you got to like lose a little weight right before? So I mean, there's a few things that come into play, but that's I think it's based on your own competition experience. Some people, don't stop training. Some people take one day off and that's it. And some people want to take a little longer, and that works for them. And it's cool. We're all a little bit different. So
nice, cool. So, do you want to cover a fight to win?
Yeah, man, that's a good card. That's tomorrow.
Fight to win.
The homie Wagner Rocha fighting Dustin Igbari.
Nice.
That's gonna be crazy.
Is that combat or regular?
That's regular.
Oh, okay.
The regular fight to win pro rules, which is like sub only technically for like. I don't know how long the fight is. I think it's like 10 minutes for the main events. And then if it's a draw, it goes to a referee decision.
They do like the 3 flag system, right?
Flag.
Yeah,
that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, the point with that, and like IBJJF tries to do the same when they have the 3 referees, but the whole point is that like you really, I'm not sure in fight to win, but IBJJF, the referees don't speak to each other before they make the decision.
Yeah, same here. They don't. I don't think they do.
That way they set a time like, all right, at this time, IBJJF, the referees are instructed to step back, and then when everybody's ready, the head the lead referee in the middle takes a step forward, and at that time, everybody gives their decision, which is really cool. That way,
it's supposed to influence each other.
Yeah, that way it doesn't, like everybody gives just their input, and it's good, like in the format of having 3 referees where people can see it from different angles. Refereeing can be really challenging, especially if like it's a match that has a lot of energy going on, like a lot of the crowd's into it. So definitely having extra 2 referees for the decision, I think it's fair, and I think it's cool.
And how about Wagner steadily becoming one of the most entertaining guys to watch in jiu-jitsu, right? Maybe not the most decorated, right, in terms of IBJJF gold or whatever, but he's fought MMA, he's been in the UFC, he's competed at the highest levels, ADCC. I mean, he's a savage.
You can't get any bigger than that. When you're fighting in the UFC, he fought, was it Cerrone years ago?
A couple fights,
yeah. Like when you're fighting at the UFC, and then you're fighting, like the big IBJJFs, and you're fighting EBIs and all these, like obviously, man, Wagner's, he's up there. And, even if you're not like winning every single match, which obviously he's doing very well now, but even if you're not winning, you're still going out there and fighting with the best. So like, if you guys are up, where is he up? Wagner.
He's in Pembroke Pines, right?
Yeah, Pembroke Pines. Make sure if you're in the Pembroke Pines area, you swing by Wagner School.
He spends a lot of time down here at Fight Sports, and he's another guy who's only has one switch. He only trains hard.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say that when we were talking about him. That's a good example of someone else who's kind of like Erberth, right? Where people kind of want to see that. When you see a fight, a match, however you want to call it. You want to see a guy who isn't holding back. You want to see a guy who's doing whatever it takes to win, obviously within the rules. But you want to see a guy who's really trying all out. And sometimes you can see some matches and you're like, man, these guys are just, they're 2 high-level guys. They're not stalling each other out. They're canceling each other out. But none of them is really giving forth that extra effort,
Wagner will like dig his elbow into your rib, dig his chin into your rib. He's one of those guys.
Yeah, I think definitely that's what jiu-jitsu needs. Jiu-jitsu needs guys that are like that to entertain and to make the sport fun and entertaining. So
cool. All right, guys. So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the podcast this week. Be sure to look out for us coming soon. We got our Instagrams, we got our YouTube, our Facebook. All that stuff is coming soon. It should be up by the time you guys listen to this podcast. It's probably the only way you're going to be able to listen to it, honestly. So look out for that, guys. Shout out to BJJ World TV. Shout out to Technica BJJ. Shout out to Carlson Gracie Miami. Hip Skin Productions. Hope you guys are enjoying these. Let us know how we can improve them. We like to hear your feedback. We're open to it. Want to see how we can make it better and make it more valuable to you. So let us know in the comments, guys. Email, whatever. hit us up.
I think, guys, that's going to be, ultimately, that's what we want to do. We want to bring value. We want to do a podcast to where, not only is it entertaining and, we could talk about news and stuff like that, but we want people to actually learn and get something out of these podcasts and stuff too.
Want to help?
Yeah, we want to help. I mean, like, when I started a few years ago, I mean, the internet helped me out a lot. Professor Josh as well. We had the opportunity to study a lot of great, jiu-jitsu practitioners. So, I mean, we're just trying to give back and do the same, give our little take on it. And again, like Professor Josh said, if you have any pointers or, any questions on the actual moves, feel free to contact us and, we'll do our best to get back to you and go from there.
Email us at techniqueoverstrength@gmail.com.
Nice.
Josh, make it happen now.
Nice.
Nice.
All right, guys. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Tune in. Os.